What if the key to your happiness lies not in what others do, but in what you choose to let go of? In a world where we often depend on others for validation, love, and fulfillment, our happiness can feel fragile, always at the mercy of someone else's actions or decisions. But what if you could free yourself from that? Welcome to The Power of Letting Go, where we explore how releasing expectations from others can unlock true happiness and inner peace. By shifting the focus inward and letting go of control over external outcomes, you'll discover a new way to live, love, and thrive, with contentment as your steady companion. Focus points. Why expectations cause unhappiness. Explore how expectations lead to disappointment, resentment, and frustration in relationships, and why letting go of them can be a liberating act. The power of self-reliance. Learn how focusing on your own values, actions, and responses can create a foundation of happiness that's immune to external circumstances. Embracing acceptance and detachment. Discover the art of accepting people and situations as they are, and the peace that comes with detaching from outcomes you can't control. Reframing relationships. Find out how releasing expectations can transform your relationships, whether personal, professional, or familial, by fostering healthier, more authentic connections. Mindfulness and emotional freedom. Uncover mindfulness techniques that help you stay present, reduce anxiety, and prevent emotional reactions driven by unmet expectations. Learning outcomes. Develop emotional resilience. You'll learn how to maintain inner peace and joy regardless of others' actions or behaviors. Strengthen your relationships. By dropping expectations, you'll cultivate healthier, more meaningful connections with others. Increase personal happiness. Learn practical strategies to shift your focus inward, finding happiness and contentment in your own life choices and mindset. Master the art of letting go. Gain tools to embrace acceptance and detachment, releasing emotional burdens and frustration tied to unfulfilled expectations. Practice mindful living. Cultivate mindfulness practices that allow you to be present in the moment, experiencing life with clarity and calm. Focus point 1. Why expectations cause unhappiness. When we expect others to behave in certain ways or events to unfold according to our desires, we create a mental blueprint for how reality should be. However, life rarely adheres to these predefined scripts, leading to disappointment, frustration, and emotional pain. Expecting too much from others often puts unnecessary pressure on relationships, causing tension and misunderstanding. For example, a friend who doesn't reciprocate your efforts or a colleague who doesn't meet your work standards may leave you feeling undervalued or frustrated. This unmet expectation builds resentment, a significant obstacle to happiness. Take a simple case. Imagine a partner who expects their significant other to remember every anniversary or perform romantic gestures regularly. When these expectations aren't met, the result is often disappointment, not necessarily because the partner doesn't care, but because they may express affection differently. This misalignment creates a gap between reality and expectation, which breeds dissatisfaction. Recommended approach. To avoid this trap, cultivate a mindset of acceptance. Understand that no one owes you specific behaviors or actions. Focus on communicating your desires openly, but also be prepared to accept people as they are, not as you expect them to be. This reduces emotional stress and allows you to embrace relationships with a sense of freedom, rather than control. Focus point 2. The power of self-reliance. True happiness comes from within, not from relying on external validation or expecting others to meet your emotional needs. When we place our happiness in others' hands, we become vulnerable to their whims and behaviors. By fostering self-reliance, we regain control over our emotional state, allowing us to remain content regardless of what others do or don't do. Self-reliance encourages personal accountability, making it easier to own your emotions rather than blaming others for how you feel. Consider a scenario where a professional expects constant praise from their boss. When that praise isn't forthcoming, they may feel demotivated or undervalued. However, a self-reliant individual finds validation within, recognizing their worth through self-assessment and personal satisfaction with their work. This mindset provides emotional stability, protecting you from the emotional roller coaster of others' approval or disapproval. Recommended approach. Develop personal values and self-awareness, defining happiness based on your own actions and progress. Engage in activities that nurture your well-being, whether through hobbies, personal achievements, or mindfulness practices, so that your emotional balance depends on internal fulfillment, not external validation. Focus point 3. Embracing acceptance and detachment. Acceptance is about acknowledging that people and situations are what they are, without attempting to change them to fit our desires. Detachment, on the other hand, is the ability to step back emotionally from the outcomes of events, understanding that your peace is not tied to specific results. Both concepts encourage letting go of the need to control others or dictate how situations should unfold. In relationships, this could look like accepting that a partner has different habits or preferences than you, rather than constantly trying to change them. For instance, if a friend is always late to meetups, acceptance means recognizing that punctuality may not be their strong suit, but this doesn't diminish the quality of their friendship. By practicing detachment, you focus on enjoying the time spent together instead of fixating on their tardiness. Recommended approach. Practice mindful awareness by observing people and events as they are without judgment. Shift your mindset from "why isn't this person behaving how I want?" to "this is who they are and I accept that." This approach reduces the mental energy wasted on frustration and disappointment, allowing you to remain calm, centered, and happy in all situations. Focus point 4. Reframing relationships. Releasing expectations from relationships transforms them from transactional exchanges into more genuine, unconditional connections. Relationships are often strained when expectations are placed on them, be it from romantic partners, friends, or family members. When we expect others to meet certain emotional, social, or professional needs, it can create tension, often leading to disillusionment when they fall short. Imagine a parent who expects their adult child to follow in their career footsteps. If the child chooses a different path, disappointment and a strained relationship often follow. However, when expectations are replaced with acceptance, relationships can thrive because they are based on mutual respect and understanding, rather than obligation or pressure. Recommended approach. Nurture your relationships by letting them evolve organically. Focus on giving without expecting something in return and practicing empathy when others don't meet your expectations. This allows you to experience deeper, more fulfilling connections that aren't weighed down by unrealistic demands. Focus point 5. Mindfulness and emotional freedom. Mindfulness, the practice of staying present in the moment, is a powerful tool for freeing yourself from the burden of expectations. By cultivating mindfulness, you learn to observe your thoughts and emotions without attachment, reducing the stress caused by unmet expectations. This enables you to approach life with clarity, grounded in the present, rather than clinging to future outcomes or past disappointments. Consider a scenario where you expect a promotion at work and spend months anxiously waiting for it. When it doesn't happen, the disappointment can be crushing. However, a mindful approach would involve focusing on your daily tasks and contributions, letting go of expectations about future rewards. This reduces stress and allows you to find fulfillment in the process itself, not just the outcome. Recommended approach. Incorporate mindfulness practices into your daily life, such as meditation, breathing exercises, or mindful walking. This helps you stay rooted in the present moment, enabling you to observe your thoughts without getting entangled in them. As a result, you'll experience greater emotional freedom and resilience, regardless of external circumstances. By letting go of expectations, you can significantly improve your emotional well-being and relationships. Each focus point, whether it's self-reliance, acceptance, or mindfulness, offers a practical path toward greater happiness and inner peace. The more you focus on what you can control, the less you'll feel disappointed or frustrated by the actions of others. Start by applying these principles in small, everyday situations. Notice how much lighter you feel when you release the need for others to meet your expectations. This shift will lead to a more fulfilling, balanced life where your happiness is truly in your hands. Developing emotional resilience. Emotional resilience is the ability to adapt to and recover from challenging situations, which is greatly strengthened by reducing expectations of others. When we detach our emotional state from others' actions, we create a buffer that protects us from unnecessary disappointment. This detachment allows us to handle setbacks with grace, as our happiness is no longer tied to specific outcomes or behaviors. Consider a manager who invests time mentoring a team member, expecting them to perform well and grow in the company. If that employee leaves unexpectedly, the manager could feel disheartened. However, with emotional resilience, the manager would understand that their guidance was valuable regardless of the outcome. By focusing on the process, not the result, they maintain emotional balance. Psychologist Albert Ellis' Rational Emotive Behavior Therapy (REBT) emphasizes how irrational expectations lead to distress, whereas adjusting expectations leads to emotional well-being. When we accept that others may not act as we hope, we become more flexible and better equipped to navigate life's unpredictability. Build emotional resilience by practicing reframing techniques. When faced with disappointment, shift your focus to what you can control: your response. Journaling and self-reflection can help reinforce this mindset, allowing you to grow stronger from each experience. Strengthening relationships. Letting go of expectations can breathe new life into relationships. When we no longer place demands on how others should behave, we approach interactions with more empathy and understanding. This creates space for genuine connections based on mutual respect, rather than transactional expectations. Imagine a friend who consistently forgets to reply to messages. Instead of becoming frustrated and assuming they don't care, shifting perspective to understand their busy schedule fosters empathy. With no expectation of constant communication, the relationship is maintained without strain. Research by Dr. John Gottman on long-term relationships suggests that one of the key indicators of lasting partnerships is positive sentiment override, where partners give each other the benefit of the doubt, instead of reacting negatively when expectations aren't met. As Marcus Aurelius wisely noted, accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together. This philosophy encourages us to embrace people for who they are, not who we want them to be. Next time you feel frustration arising in a relationship, pause and ask yourself if your feelings are rooted in unmet expectations. Shift toward acceptance and allow the relationship to evolve naturally, appreciating the other person's unique qualities without trying to change them. Increasing personal happiness. When you rely less on others for validation or happiness, you empower yourself to find fulfillment within. This internal focus creates a stable source of joy that is not subject to the unpredictable nature of others' actions or approval. By mastering self-reliance, you reduce vulnerability to external fluctuations, creating a more consistent state of happiness. In the workplace, for example, professionals who depend on praise for motivation often experience burnout when recognition isn't forthcoming. However, those who focus on their own growth and satisfaction derive happiness from the work itself. Daniel Goleman's work on emotional intelligence highlights the importance of intrinsic motivation, finding joy in personal achievement rather than external rewards. Those with high emotional intelligence are better equipped to sustain long-term happiness because their satisfaction stems from internal values. Epictetus once said, "Happiness and freedom begin with a clear understanding of one principle. Some things are within your control and some things are not." By focusing on internal growth and letting go of external expectations, we take control of our own happiness. Recommendation: cultivate personal happiness by setting internal goals aligned with your values. Engage in activities that provide intrinsic rewards, whether that's creative work, personal hobbies, or self-improvement. Let fulfillment come from your own efforts rather than external validation. Mastering the art of letting go. Letting go of expectations not only brings peace but also opens the door to greater emotional freedom. When we accept that outcomes may differ from our desires, we release the emotional chains that tie us to disappointment and frustration. This detachment allows us to live more mindfully, appreciating the present moment without being weighed down by unmet expectations. For example, in parenting, expecting children to meet specific academic or behavioral standards can lead to unnecessary stress for both parent and child. However, parents who adopt a growth mindset, focusing on effort rather than outcomes, allow their children to flourish in their own way. Dr. Carol Dweck's research on growth mindset shows that focusing on the process of learning, rather than fixed outcomes, leads to greater success and well-being. Lao Tzu's philosophy captures the essence of letting go. By letting go, it all gets done. When we relinquish the need to control outcomes, we often find that life unfolds more harmoniously, free from the emotional turbulence of unmet expectations. Begin practicing the art of letting go in small ways. Notice when you feel frustration or disappointment and ask yourself, is this because of an unmet expectation? Focus on the present and adopt a mindset of curiosity. allowing events to unfold naturally without imposing rigid expectations on the future. Practicing mindful living. Mindfulness allows us to observe our thoughts and emotions without attachment, which is key to managing expectations. By practicing mindfulness, we learn to stay grounded in the present moment, reducing anxiety and frustration caused by worrying about future outcomes or dwelling on past disappointments. Mindful living enables us to detach from the need for specific results, fostering a deeper sense of peace. Consider an athlete training for a major event. Instead of fixating on the win, they focus on the present moment, their form, breath, and technique. This mindfulness enhances performance by reducing pressure and allowing them to enjoy the process. Research by John Kabat-Zinn on mindfulness-based stress reduction, MBS, shows that mindfulness not only improves emotional regulation but also reduces stress and enhances well-being. As Thich Nhat Hanh said, "The present moment is the only moment available to us, and it is the door to all moments." By living mindfully, we avoid the mental suffering caused by clinging to future expectations or past regrets. Incorporate mindfulness techniques such as meditation, deep breathing, or mindful walking into your daily routine. When expectations arise, pause and bring your attention back to the present. This practice will help you stay centered and prevent emotional reactivity tied to unmet expectations. Conclusion. In this audiobook, we have explored how having zero expectations of others can unlock greater happiness and inner peace. By releasing the burden of expectations, we gain emotional freedom and create healthier, more fulfilling relationships. Here's a brief recap of the key focus points. Emotional resilience. Letting go of expectations strengthens emotional resilience, helping us navigate life's challenges with grace and adaptability. Strengthening relationships. Freeing relationships from rigid demands allows us to connect more authentically, fostering empathy and understanding. Personal happiness. Cultivating internal sources of happiness means we no longer rely on others for validation, making our joy more stable and lasting. The art of letting go. Letting go of expectations frees us from disappointment and stress, allowing life to flow naturally and harmoniously. Mindful living. Practicing mindfulness keeps us grounded in the present, reducing anxiety about future outcomes and regret over the past. Recommendations. Practice self-awareness. Regularly assess if your frustrations are linked to unmet expectations and work to release them. Build relationships on acceptance. Focus on empathy rather than expecting others to meet specific standards. Cultivate intrinsic motivation. Find happiness within through personal growth and creative endeavors, rather than waiting for external validation. Embrace mindfulness. Incorporate mindfulness exercises to stay present and reduce emotional reactivity tied to future or past expectations. The journey we've taken together in this audiobook highlights the profound impact that zero expectations can have on emotional well-being. By freeing ourselves from unnecessary attachments, we create space for personal happiness, stronger relationships, and a more peaceful, mindful life. These lessons are not only practical but transformative, helping us to lead lives filled with contentment and ease. I sincerely thank you for taking the time to listen to this audiobook. Your commitment to learning and growth is truly appreciated. If you found this content valuable, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with others who might benefit from these insights. Remember, the more you listen, the better you speak. Consistently engaging with content like this will not only enhance your emotional intelligence but also improve your language skills. Keep listening, keep learning, and continue growing both personally and linguistically. Thank you again for your time, and I look forward to sharing more insights with you in the future.